In this video, we'll walk you through all of the steps that you need to take to get your closet ready to manufacture. Up until this point, I think you can agree that CabinetSense has automated a lot of the steps needed to get your closet ready to manufacture. However, there are things that CabinetSense still can't do at this point, where you need to intervene and manually get your model ready for that final production phase. So we'll start by reviewing the project component. We want to make sure that all of our settings are correct for production. We want to make sure that System 32 is turned on. We want to set our nominal thickness, and in this case, we are using the Closets 19, which was a 19 millimeter thick material. So I'm going to enter 19 millimeters as our nominal thickness. Our frameless overlay is set to half. And we'll quickly do a review of our material thicknesses. Okay, so that looks good. Let's start with our pre-production review. Whether you are designing and pushing the model out to production, or you have a team to do the design and other people to do the production, the steps really are the same. First thing we want to do is to see if, as the model has been created, if all the necessary supporting structures are in place. So for example, we've divided these drawers into two sets of drawers. First step we're going to do, remove the doors and take a look at the model to see if all of the structures needed to support our drawers are there. So in this case, we need to go into our model. We'll turn on hidden layers, or hidden geometry, sorry. You remove the color again. There is a hidden shelf, and when we need it, all we have to do is go back into the parts section, turn visibility on, and it's already set up to use our Rayfix connectors. We'll do the same for the shelf underneath the other set of double drawers. As a side note, we've also set up our dividers so that when they do become visible and needed, it's also set up to use Rayfix. Okay, that's step one. No other drawers have been divided that we need to put other additional structures in, so that's good. The next thing that we're going to look at are where our corner units are butting up against our standard closet bays. Taking a look at our corner cabinets and taking a look at our thicknesses, we'll see that our left and right ends are zero thickness. And in fact, what we're doing is borrowing the ends from the adjacent bay components. So we still need to make sure that our machining on the inside or the outside of the bay panel is drilled so that we can have our shelf supports. The default is there won't be a drill through, so there won't be holes on the outside of a normal bay end panel. What we need to do is simply click on the end panel, go into drilling, and change the line bore drill through to yes. And we'll do it on this bay, and we'll do it on the end panel on that bay. Okay, so we've now got our line boring set up for our corner cabinet. So now let's take a look at any needed radius corners. Let me just go ahead and hide the crown. So if the standard for your closets is that you want a radius corner on all of your corner cabinets, you can now go ahead and place those radiuses on your cabinets. So we'll simply drill into the corner cabinet, get to the top, and under the parts section, there's an angled front. We'll turn that on. And again, we're going to use SketchUp tools to drill into the part, and we will draw our radius corner. And I'm going to make a radius of 3 inches. Using the arc tool. Now the arc tool defaults to 12 segments, if you're looking down below. And for a 3-inch arc, if we change our segment count to about 50, it'll come out nice and smooth. Double click, use push-pull, and you're done. We'll get rid of our construction lines. Now, if we want them on all the corners, we need to go to each shelf and turn on the angle front. Okay, if there was more angled corners, or angled cabinets, you would go ahead and do that. While we are looking at our angled back corner cabinet, one of the things that CabinetSense does not do at this point in time is create Rayfix connectors for the back on the angled corner. So I'm going to back out. We'll preview how we're machining this. So we're having 2 sets of line boring holes, and our line boring is actually 37 millimeters in from each edge. And if I want to have a Rayfix connector to connect these, what I can do is drill down until I get to the shelf or the top. And I've set up a pattern that I can use, and in this case it's an angled Rayfix 20 millimeter hole or a 19 millimeter thick pattern. And I will just drop it on. Grab it by the corner, so I've set it up so that it's easily placed. I'll create another one and slap it in. Now I can click both of them using my move tool, create a duplicate, and go down. Move it into place. Now you're noticing that I'm doing it in 2 steps. We want to make sure that the patterns are fully planted on the shelf, that it doesn't get attached to the back or the cornered angled back as well. This is a SketchUp feature, so it's looking to glue it to the best face. So I'm just going to repeat this process. I think I did that very well. And you really want to wait until the end, just before you're ready to do production, before you do all these steps. Otherwise, if you go ahead and modify your cabinets, you're going to be doing it over anyways. Okay, we've got our corner cabinet ready to go. There's also another corner cabinet that you could use in CabinetSense, and we haven't used it in this model, so I'm just going to go ahead and bring it out. And that is an angled cabinet that could be used for clothes. And you'll notice that the end panel is actually sticking up through the top and all of the shelves. CabinetSense at this point is not going to notch these out for you. So the similar step that we did for placing the Rayfix connector, we can also place a notching connector, or a pattern, sorry. So it's simply called notch. Oops, right here. I'll throw it on, and in this case, let me just go ahead. I'll size it to what I want. Now again, this will be machined. This will be sent to your CNC. So you're going to need to leave a little bit of extra room for your router bit to do the curve. So you'll have to figure out what that is. I'll just say that that is going to be sufficient for us. And same thing that we did with the manual Rayfix connector. we'll duplicate and place it. This time I'll grab that corner and move it into place, etc. And we would do the bottom as well. And again, we could go and put a radius corner on these tops and shelves as well if we wanted. The last thing we will do before we actually export this and look at it in look at the DXF that's created is to talk about hanging rail systems and other obstructions that your closets may have to deal with. For example, maybe you're putting the closet into a very, an older home where it has perhaps granite baseboards or baseboards that you cannot remove, and you want to notch around them. There's a new facility in version 6 as well in the project component, and they're called wall protrusions. And you can describe things in the room that you want CabinetSense to notch around for you. So let's say, for example, I have a 4-inch high baseboard that I want to notch around, and the depth is, I'll make it 1 inch. Let's also say that I'm going to use a hanging rail system, and my standard is 89.5 inches from the floor. I want it 3 inches high and a depth of 3/4 of an inch. So what CabinetSense will do, it will notch the bottom of all of your end panels and partitions, and anything that protrudes or is in the way. It will notch out the bottom 4 inches up, 1 inch deep. It will also notch 89.5 inches up from the bottom of the floor, 3 inches high, and a 3/4 inch deep notch. Now, if you're using a hanging rail system, the one thing that CabinetSense does not do at this point is create the holes required for your rail hangers. So the same thing that we did with the manual Rayfix and the notch for that other corner cabinet, I created a pattern, and this pattern would have to be changed depending on which closet hanger you are using. But let me just show you how it works. If my standard is I'm going to have my notch, my railing notched out here, I will develop a pattern that I can place on the inside and simply butt it up to the corner. So I know it's exactly in the place I want. I'll then take it, copy it, place another one. So on each, a little bit tricky in 3D mode, but just grab it, make a copy, place it on this end, and I would do that for every end and partition that I need to do a hanging rail hanger on. So I'm only going to do those 3, but I would do each panel, end panel, and partition as well. And that's really all that's required to get this closet ready to go to production. So let's go ahead and we'll export, but we should also talk a little bit about our preferences. The one thing that you'll most likely want to do on a closet system is change your drilling optimization to drill in one pass from either face. And what this will do is that let me just go ahead and machine this again so we can talk about it while we're looking at it visually. So if we look at the center panel, on the right side, we have line boring holes and nothing else. On the left side, we have line boring holes, plus we're also going to have 2 additional holes for our hanger. And so what CabinetSense will do is it'll evaluate and it'll decide that it's going to drill all of the line boring holes as a drill through. So they'll be drilled cleanly through this partition. These two holes here are not drill through. They're only meant to go 12 millimeters deep. So this side will be face up on the CNC so that it can drill through all of the line boring, but only drill 12 millimeters deep on this one. And the same evaluation is done for any time a panel needs drilling from both sides. Okay, we're ready to go. So let's go ahead and machine it. It is now generating the DXF. 126 to go. And it's done. I'm going to use VCarve to take a look at the DXF. So let's just bring in all of the parts. We have some zero thickness parts. Those are our corner end panels that we really don't want to machine. We have drawer parts, and we've got carcass parts. Now, they're coming out as 19.05 and 15.875, and the only reason is I am exporting in millimeters, and if I exported in inches, it would come out as 3/4 and 5/8. And there are all our parts. Let me just go ahead and nest them. All right, so here is our notch, which should be 4 inches. One inch by 101.6, which is 4 inches. And here is our notch at the top for our hanging rail system. And if you look at all the parts, there's our manually placed Rayfix connectors. We have our radius for our corners. And yeah, all of the shelves have our Rayfix connectors as well. And if you're wondering what these two holes are, this is for the shelf that has the double drawers, so the divider, and there'll be another one for right here, so that the Rayfix can connect the shelves together. And that's pretty much it. That's what it takes to take your model, all the manual steps and the reviews that you should do before you can get your closet out to the shop floor. Thank you very much for watching.